playlist here of some street fights. I tried not to watch them, so it can be like.
Okay. So what are we doing? We're watching some street fights that.
These are martial artists versus people who are just dipshits on the street, I guess. All right, let's check this out. Street Fight TV.
Oh, they're squaring up.
What's happening here? Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, this. He doesn't really. Oh shit.
Is this the same? This is the same guy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He doesn't really seem like a martial artist. Maybe a boxer?
No, I mean.
No, just a guy swinging.
I didn't detect any kind of legit stuff going on.
That one was a bust. Let's check out the next one. All right, I'm going to immediately turn that music off. Okay, I think I might have seen this one before. This guy, like, does, like, Wing Chun or something.
The guy in the red shirt?
Yeah. Hold my phone.
He's got nice baggy pants on.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
I mean, he's ripe to pick a single leg.
Look at that walk.
This guy in the black is like, oh no. He's looking at his body. He's like,
it's either he's like, oh man, this guy got autism, or he's got like that, you know, like people, we talked about it before, like they fear magic.
Right.
Like people thought if you knew Kung Fu, like you were a magic person.
This guy's so silly though, too. Like the guy in the red. They're both like the same weight class, so at least we got that straightened out.
Fair fight.
Tighten up that belt, sir.
I bet it seems like the guy in the red shirt is in the other guy's head.
Big time.
Yeah.
Lots of nervous energy going on. The red shirt there, a little flaring out with the kicks.
Oh shit! Wow. Okay.
Oh.
Yeah, this guy's
wants to wrestle. He's throwing those punches from the hips.
Ooh, nice.
See, that's what sucks about getting spiked
oh, man.
on concrete. I mean, wrestling is so powerful on the street.
Yeah, getting hit in the head with the world seems like it's pretty fucking painful.
Just having the ability to lock up with somebody and maintain your composure and your breathing is a crazy advantage on the street. Anytime I've been in a physical confrontation, you just feel all that tension, that crazy tension that requires so much energy. And you know that when you lock up with somebody, they have the same thing applies to a sprint. You see like most Olympic athletes, when you have that 200-meter dash, they're coming in like the world records are coming in like 44 seconds, 45, because they're blowing it all out in like 45-ish seconds.
I see what you mean.
And that's like around 45 seconds is the amount of time, 45 seconds to a minute is the time that people seem to be able to use energy at the highest level, use all that fast twitch, like blow it all out kind of energy. So when street fights last beyond that, when you're just locking up with a guy, they gas so quick. And when people gas in a street fight, the panic sets in, and it's game over. If you know how to wrestle and you hold somebody down on the street, you don't even have to hit them. and you just wait till that 1 minute mark. Now, you have to be concerned about their buddies are going to kick you in the head or something like that if there's a big crowd of people. Um, but that's the breaking point for most people is a minute. They got a minute in on tops of like a high like intensity fight. Um, for all these unexperienced people that are throwing down the streets. Um,
I guess once your adrenaline tank and your explosive energy tank runs out,
yeah,
you're fucked. Like you're done.
I mean, like dudes I've competed against in jiu-jitsu have that problem in competition time, and that's a massive advantage in competitions where you have an ability to have composure and not waste all that energy. Um, so, like the last tournament I did, my matches, the guys were so intense, and um, I my whole game plan was I'm not going to do anything but wrestle defensively for the first minute, and then every one of my matches lasted under 2 minutes because every guy just broke at that minute mark.
Wow.
Yeah, you feel them breathing so heavy at a minute, and they're like conditioned guys. They can roll for 5 minutes straight, no problem. But when you have that adrenaline mixed in with that, and you get that crash, um, totally brutal experience for people that don't have that composure uh, to will themselves out of that moment or take those breaths when they need them. So
how do you stay calm when you're doing that?
Well, I guess a lot of it for me is just experience and just being in that situation a million times. But um, a good part, like what how I try to stay calm or try to stay focused in those situations and not get tunnel vision, like like even in policing, if it's a super intense moment, I try to think like creatively in the moment, think for things I can do that are useful. Maybe not every idea that comes is something that's worth actioning, but as long as you're thinking in those kind of creative ways, you're keeping your brain um, away from those blinders that come in the tunnel vision, because that is really bad. That's when you guys get that 1,000-yard stare, and they just can only act on their instinct, and that's no good.
No, I guess you burn out then too, or you're already burned out.
Yeah.
So, like, obviously, if you're on the street, you could die. Competition, it's been a while since I did I'll say an external um, competition, but when we did that internal one, you beat me. Like I found before every match, I was like, Jesus, why am I so nervous? Like,
Yeah.
and
Like having a really good warm up is so important. Like the I try to you never want, if you're competing, you never want the biggest breath you take to be or the first huge breath you take in that day to be in that moment of the fight. Uh, so I try to get in a bunch of sprints beforehand, blow my lungs up, uh, get the lungs like nice and filled up. I don't know if there's something to kind of like stretching your lungs, filling them out, like inflating them a bit. Um, so I try to get a pretty decent workout in before these competitions. If you ever done like a big deadlift before and your central nervous system is spiked up, it's ready to rock. Um, any kind of subsequent lifts you do that are not deadlifts feel very like much easier. Like if you do a big deadlift and then grab a pull-up bar and do a bunch of pull-ups, you'll feel like those pull-ups are a lot lighter.
Makes a lot of sense.
Because your central nervous system has to get warmed up as well. So you got to warm your lungs up, warm your central nervous system up, or you're going to get that shaky kind of feeling in your legs. So having a big warm up is a must. But people, when they're so nervous or they care so much about the moment, a lot of times they feel like their warm up is, they don't want to waste any energy warming up. They want to save their energy for that for that 5-minute fight or whatever it's going to be. Um, but I don't know if you're like this, but if we're sparring in jiu-jitsu, and you never feel the best in your first roll. It's usually like, like it's towards the end of the class, I feel like my lungs feel the
Yeah,
best.
totally. Yeah.
So you need to get to that point, and it's challenging, like in different venues, because some venues have no place to get a warm up. But um, like the last place I did, I was just doing like a bunch of body weight squats and push ups, and um, uh, you're not maxing anything out, but you getting all that blood into the muscles, and getting your lungs ready to rock. So um, and at the end of the day, like, what's the worst that can happen to you in one of these competitions? I mean,
Yeah,
you're not
that's
going to
right.
die.
Yeah.
You're not going to die. I mean, so my perspective is different from other people, where like, I've been in so many situations where I was like, fuck, I might die here, so or there's so many unknowns that you have to be constantly thinking about the next threat that can present itself. But in a match, I mean, it's just you versus the other person, and I'm never competing with my opponent. I feel like I was just competing with myself. Like, I always want to give the best performance I can give, so I don't really care who my opponent is, and I think that's big too. So
Yeah. Good mindset. I've never heard of it makes a lot of sense, but I've never heard of like get warmed up by working out and then go to a competition. Like back
yeah,
in the day, competing in Taekwondo, they're like, don't do anything
yeah,
and then go there and stretch and go,
yeah,
fight the competition. But if I was going to go for a run, which isn't going to happen, but if I was going to go for a run, I'd walk a bit first to warm
of
up.
course,
And
yeah,
then, so that makes a lot of sense.
yeah.
Yeah. Crazy.
Yeah, I mean, especially in a grappling match, I mean, you're going to be using every muscle in your body. Um, so getting a few sets in of, like, getting that blood in your legs, in your arms, in your chest, in your back, and eh, like, your first set in the gym is never your biggest set. Like, you're preparing for your biggest set, which is going to be that fight. So you shouldn't be going into that cold. Like, it's the worst thing you can do. So all that, um, the once that, like, 45-second mark hits, or that minute mark hits that I'm talking about, when that hits, when you're cold, it hits like a truck. And then, um, it was in that in-house tournament that we did. It was hard to get warmed up in that too.
Yeah.
It wasn't like people were just showing up to that. I was teaching the kids class earlier, so I was rolling around with the kids, and making sure I was in the gi and was getting a good sweat on with that. So I think I had a little bit of an advantage there too. Like, nobody else probably had a good warm up like that, but that's key, for sure. So um,
Solid.
so yeah, my thing is uh, lift some weights, get the muscles prepped, do a bunch of sprints, um, but nothing. You're not sprinting to the point where um, you're you're gassed, and like, if you've ever sprinted and your technique is failing at the end of the sprint because you're trying so hard. You're not doing a warm up like that, but um, it's it, but um, but yeah, just keeping that cool perspective, and just, like, at the end, of the day, like, like, who gives a fuck?
Yeah.
It's a tournament.
That's right. There's nothing on the line,
Nobody's gonna know about it, unless you talk about it. I mean, if you win or lose one, like, you could win a local tournament, nobody cares. So
I
um,
don't care. Like, even if I heard someone who had zero training came in and like jumped in a white belt tournament, I'd be pretty impressed
yeah,
because like you're not going to get killed, but
yeah,
like you could get fucked up,
yeah,
and
yeah,
it takes balls just to show up. I
yeah,
think with that stuff.
right.
So winning
That's
is
half the battle, is just showing up.
absolutely,
For
yeah,
a lot of people. So um, just show up and get as much of it, as much of those style matches under your belt as you can.
Yeah.
Especially at white belt, I think, because there's zero expectations. There's no the only people that really have any kind of pressure on them are people that are like, say, are competing and you're a black belt. You run a gym and you obviously want to do well to help your business,
Yeah.
right? But other than that, like very few people that have grappling matches. Like, you know, there shouldn't be any real pressure on you that is something that is justifiable in, you know, having you cave to the moment. I mean, you're fighting in a gym, you know, in front of like 50 or 100 people. Like, but there's also that aspect of it too, where people that aren't used to performing in front of other people that are watching, that bothers them as well. So, so it's almost like a public speaking aspect of it too, where you're in front of a crowd and you have to perform in front of a crowd. And as a cop, like, you know, people are always looking at you. Like, that's the first thing you notice when you're in the uniform, is all eyes are on you everywhere you go all the time, you know? So it's very unnerving at first, but, and especially if you're a cop and somebody's resisting and there's a big crowd, I mean, you don't want to lose that. There's a ton of pressure on you then too, like
I'd
or
imagine.
make a fool out of yourself, or not handle the person appropriately, or if you handle them too good, or you know, or and you use too much force, and now you're in trouble too. So there's so many pressure situations like that I've been over the years, that when it comes to a jiu-jitsu competition, I'm like, my God, like I could give a fuck. You know?
Yeah, you've been at the big show, like on the street.
But it's like for me, it's just like this is a place where I'm free now to be as rough within the rules, and as strong, and use as much power as I want. Because in the gym, I mean, I'm never using that level of like a fight. Not even close. Like everything is. Everything I do in the gym, everything I attempt to do in the gym is technique based. And if somebody is passing my guard, it's very rare that I'm going to try to put some sauce on like something physical to retain that position or whatever it is. I'm like, I fucked up already. I didn't use the right technique, or whatever it was. So I'll let them work into that space without using any kind of physicality, because we're training, you know?
Yeah,
so
that's right.
In a comp class, if we're actually like going at it, then yeah, I'll kick it up to another level. But then in competition, it's like, okay, well, we're fighting. Let's go, you know?
Yeah,
so
it's a different, like in the class, I don't feel anything. You know what I mean? Like, it's just you're doing rounds, and hopefully you learn something or whatever. The only thing that there's a guy that started the same time as me, and like he tapped me out like twice, and I was like, man, I fucking suck at jiu-jitsu. Like, I don't come enough.
Right.
This guy's like, you know, that sucked. But when it comes to the competition, I don't even remember what happened. Like, honestly, after it's over, like the roll is over.
Yeah.
I don't remember anything.
Yeah.
You know? Like a couple timbits, and I can kind of piece it together. But
yeah.
I
mean, like, but when you get tapped in training, I'm always, that's my favorite thing about training, is when I get tapped. And the best way to handle that is, in my opinion, is say, oh fuck, man, that was awesome. Like, you know, can you show me, like, how did you do that? That was sick. How did you do that? And I've never come across anybody ever from all the roles where I've said, like, how did you do that? That was sick. And they've said, no, I can't tell you that, you know?
That's right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
that doesn't happen.
People are always like really, they're happy then to show you, and they're proud of themselves that they can kind of show you how they did that. And you really learn that, and you learn defense, and that's
absolutely.
You know,
no,
so
that was all internal. I find but if I have a bad day, I'm like, you fucking don't train enough.
I just compete with myself. Like I don't there's like I never have that mindset of you know, am I better? It's never even crossed my mind once, like, no shit, that I thought I'm better than anybody in the gym, whether it's a white belt, but that's been doing it for a few classes. Like it's all, to me, it's all training,
Yeah.
So, but and that's why I enjoy the competition so much, because it's just a time for me to test that training at a fighting pace.
That's a healthy way to look at it. I find, especially like the guys that have been at it longer, they always teach me something. They'll put me in like a Doris choke from a weird angle and be like, show me that, like you
Right.
said. But I find that I can get in this like mindset sometimes. If I start to feel self conscious that I haven't been training enough,
Yeah.
because like we went on vacation and then I fucking,
Right.
missed the next week.
Yeah.
Then I'm like down on myself about it. I'm like
Yeah.
guilting myself to go. And then when something like that happens, I'm like, dude, you proved yourself, right?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
I get into like this weird downward spiral
Yeah.
until I
Yes.
have a good class. Yeah.
I mean, like some, like my good buddies are, like that might make or break their night depending on how well they did in class,
Yeah.
and they keep track of like who they've tapped or who has tapped them. I don't, we had, I stuck around yesterday and I'm back at it. So from being injured, and I think I got a few taps from people yesterday, but like I don't even remember it really. Well, I remember um, me getting tapped and then learning from those more than I remember like tapping people. And but
Do you make a game plan like for roles? Like Dennis mentioned before, he's like, you should, when new people come in, you should start drilling on them, like when you're rolling with
right,
them. So
yeah,
like have like a like drill on triangles and just try a triangle the whole time.
yeah,
That
like
kind of thing.
so my game plan as uh, like a heavyweight is I don't wrestle with anybody that's like smaller than me. I just pull guard on them, and um, and so the worst thing is to be a heavyweight that's afraid to be on their back and get put on the back. So I'm so comfortable on my back, like because I start the majority of my roles like that, and I just don't feel like wrestling every jiu-jitsu class. Like I'll wrestle on competition classes, but and I won't give up positions on competition classes, but um, for the most part, all those other roles, like I could give a shit. Like uh, I'd like it if I don't care if somebody starts on my back or if they start in the mount or whatever. It's just all training to me.
Yeah.
So, but like the game plan, like I might um, like I'm trying to work more leg locks this year, and just give a few more tools uh, that way. Um, but yeah, in competition, like the last competition, like I had that when it's a 5 minute match and it's point oriented. In jiu-jitsu, I treat that more as like a wrestling match than a jiu-jitsu match. And then when I get the position that I need, I'll just take what I'm given if a submission's there. But I'm not even thinking about uh, a submission in jiu-jitsu at that point. I'm like, okay, let's wrestle first and see what happens.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right, let's see this guy. Street Fight Taekwondo. This one I didn't watch, so I'm very interested to see.
So this guy tarps off street fight. That's always a good move. Less material for your opponent to latch onto. So going tarps off is a good move. But the other guy has sweatpants on.
Yeah, that's the Taekwondo guy.
He's got the sweatpants on, and the other guy's got jeans. So, oh,
Got the back kick.
yeah, right in the liver. I like that one.
Yeah.
He took pity on his opponent. So, I mean, the guy on the right, I mean, you just walk away from people like this. I mean, oh, they're both
Yeah, they're drunk.
drunk. Okay.
Oh
Yo,
shit.
whoa. I think he was acting a little bit more fucked up than he was,
Yeah,
for
he
sure.
walked away very sober.
Yeah, he's a sneaky guy.
All right, this one is Wing Chun versus MMA.
Oh, no. Wouldn't Wing Chun be so cool if it actually worked?
It would be, yeah. Look how confident the Wing Chun guy is.
Did you ever watch those Ip Man movies?
Yeah,
Those are sick.
they're fun to watch.
It's just not practical at all, man. He's so confident. Look at him.
I know he almost looks arrogant. I don't know this
Yeah.
guy, but he's like,
But his stance, like, so heavy on his back foot.
his knees are straight.
Yeah, he's so easily take down there. I do Wing Chun with my dogs, basically. When I'm fighting with my dogs, I'll have my hand and I'll be going,
Okay.
and their mouths are going crazy. So Wing Chun for playing with your dog is legit.
It's effective.
Very effective, yeah.
All right, come on, dude.
Are they going to be doing shots to the head?
I have no idea.
It's very friendly.
Yeah. There we
Oh,
go.
wow. That was
Okay.
effortless. Yeah, it's really sad to watch. Like, how much time does this guy devote to that Wing Chun? Like, who knows, like, how good he is at Wing Chun, but he never even got a strike off.
No, it looked like all slaps. Like they're probably trying to hit you with like the ridge hand and stuff like that. But
Yeah,
if somebody socks you in the mouth with their fist, it's a lot different.
yeah.
We were I had the youngest at a birthday party and was talking with the parents, and he was like talking about Aikido.
Right.
And I was like, oh yeah. I was like, how long you been doing it for? And he's like, this many years, but our instructor, he's been doing it for like 20 years.
Right.
And he was at this thing and he did all these things. It was like a bar fight or something.
Yeah.
And I'm like, in Aikido?
Yeah.
I'm like, isn't that like the fucking Steven Seagal?
It is.
And it's like,
Yeah.
like when you watch him, it looks like it's a movie.
Yeah.
They'll like line up a bunch of guys and they'll run at them and like push them by their neck.
It's super weird. But I think I might be totally wrong on this, but I think the original purpose of Aikido was sword fighting. I think it was like to complement like samurais, which it would make sense in when you're trying to control time and distance, and you're using like the momentum of your opponent against them, and when you pivot out of the way, that's when you strike with a sword, which would be devastating. But
because it's all like they're pushing a lot by the neck, I noticed.
Okay.
Yeah, if you had a sword, that makes sense because
Yeah.
you'd be fucking cutting their head off.
Yeah.
Slicing their throat. But,
but it's so preposterous. Like when you see like the videos and the demonstration of the students attacking the master. It's one of these things that's this. There's a term behind it, but I mean the students have been conditioned over time to react to certain ways that are in that Aikido kind of realm of, and you get that in a lot of training situations, like training to be a police officer when they train you how to handcuff somebody correctly, and you're putting this person through all their steps on how to handcuff, and you're telling them, okay, put your hands up, and they're like, okay, put them up higher, reach up as high as you can, lock your elbows out, and that you're telling another cop to do this so they know exactly how to like respond the way you want them to respond. You're like, okay, turn around and put your hands back towards my voice. Now put your palms up, and they're doing everything like correctly. But for a person who's never been arrested before, a lot of that stuff's can be confusing, and like one thing is if you're doing a high risk handcuffing and you're proning somebody out on the ground. And one thing we would say all the time is like, okay, put your hands out like a T. So you want a person's hands all the way out. So they're in a vulnerable position. They can't get up explosively. Like put your palms up, you know? And like my buddy Riley was handcuffing this guy one time, doing a high risk handcuff on him. And the guy was in a stolen vehicle, like weapons in the vehicle. Riley's got his gun on him, and he's like, okay, get on the ground, do it now. And the guy's like, oh, he gets on the ground. He's like, okay, now put your hands out like a T, right? And the guy goes, oh. He does this, and he's like, right? And he's like, no, like an airplane, like, you know, like, and he's like trying to like coach him through it, you know? And the guy was just confused. But if you're telling a cop to do that, he's going to know exactly what to do. So it's the same kind of thing in like a training situation in Aikido. Like, okay, you're just running at the guy like an idiot, like full blast, like running at him. Of course. Okay. So now the guy sidesteps you and uses your momentum and kind of pushes you off. Okay. Well, what if you just walk him down with like consistent and methodical footwork?
Yeah.
And you're taking angles on him, and, you know, or you're throwing leg kicks like this guy, then it all falls apart, you know? So.
Did you ever watch the McDojo Instagram page?
A little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. So like, it's at least Aikido, I'll say, has like a history. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like there was at some point, it could, you know, even if you're in there because you love Japanese history, I think.
Yeah.
It's from Japan.
Yeah.
But when
it looks fun. Like it looks like it's fun.
Yeah.
You know, so
you get a few buddies together and push each other around.
Yeah.
But like you see these people and this guy will be there and he'll fucking go like this and they like try to punch him, but they can't. They'll like fall down and seizure and shit.
Yeah.
Like, I understand this meathead up there. You know, there's a lot of like cult leaders out there.
Yeah.
That's what they kind of seem like.
Yeah.
But I'm like, why the fuck is the whole group playing along? You know, like it just takes one guy to pop this guy in the mouth, and like the whole thing will fall apart.
It's all human psychology. It's very odd, right?
It's kind of scary.
Yeah.
You can, like, humans can, because like it's not like you're going to get rich or famous for listening to this dude.
Right.
So like, what's it for, and how did this happen to you?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. There's something very interesting about all that, and how humans respond to charismatic leaders and do what charismatic leaders tell them to do. So yeah, that's but it's that kind of master student dynamic, and that and there's like, it is like a cult. Like a lot of those things are like a cult. And you hear so many examples of, like, whether it's in jiu-jitsu, like Tom Brady's wife, you know, she left Tom Brady for her jiu-jitsu instructor, you know?
Wild.
So, I mean, like, who knows what the hell is actually going on there with their relationship? But there's no doubt that, that her jiu-jitsu instructor had this kind of presence and this authoritative kind of presence over the student, her, which can be very like attractive, I guess, to the student, and it kind of like brainwashes them, hypnotizes them in a way.
Yeah.
But I mean, here's the most winningest stud football player there is, and you know, that's what a.
Oh, I gotta see this guy. Like, I gotta see him talk.
Yeah, I mean, maybe
stole Tom Brady's wife.
I mean, yeah, I don't want to hear him talk. I don't want to get hooked by his gaze or whatever he's got going on either, right?
You're on a plane trying to meet him,
yeah. So
it's gotta see him.
Yeah,
fuck, man.
But there's so much of that kind of culty stuff with martial arts. It's crazy. And you know, your status in that social circle too is dependent on if your instructor values, you know, what you bring to the class there, and you're going to get promoted to another belt or whatever. So you want to be a good student for the instructor, and then get rewarded for it too. And you know, so much stuff that stuff is drilled into people, and like in military settings as well. You know, I love drill. I love doing drill and being shouted and bawled at and chirped and you know, you're marching a certain way, and and you have to do everything that drill instructor tells you to do. Like it's kind of fun to be just like a maggot like that, you know. And like
Yeah.
I got a kick out of it, and really enjoyed it. So um, people love being told what to do. I think, you know.
Yeah,
But
especially if it's I can understand it if it's like something that's hard,
right,
where it's like, all right, you fucking pussies, we're gonna climb this mountain, you know? And you're
right,
like, all right. And they're like, come on, you're fucking blowing it up there, you know? It's
yeah,
like, all right, here I go, you know?
yeah,
But I just can't imagine like you're going to a fucking mall studio. This guy's like, hey everyone, I use chi to
yeah,
hold you back.
yeah,
So well, what if I slapped you in the face? You can't
yeah,
because of my chi, and you're like,
yeah.
okay, I guess I fucking can't. You know, it's like
It's the electromagnetic force that you can't see, right? That's
exactly.
giving me a magneto kind of force field, right?
When I was small, Bruce Lee touched my mother's stomach, and
Yeah, yeah,
now I control you with my mind.
yeah.
All right, let's check this guy out. Oh,
A keto in a street fight. Let's see it. Oh,
okay, that's just a choke slam.
yeah. I mean,
It's not a
that's
keto.
the old tiger claw.
So yeah, fuck
Grab
this shit.
grab him by the throat. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think I've seen wrestlers back in the '90s do that move.
Yeah. I mean, if somebody is stood with a like your feet are just in a non fighting stance, as soon as you put pressure on somebody's head where their head is now back behind where their feet are,
Mm-hmm.
they're going down. I mean, wherever the head goes, the body's going to go. I mean, it's really easy.
Isn't that like the stiff arm and or the straight arm in football? That's like they like straight arm you, so that basically does the same thing.
Yeah, like when I'm squared up and I'm wrestling with somebody, my first point of contact is going to be on somebody's forehead, and then if I can go to a clinch from there, if they can let me, or if I can work get a clinch in, I'll go to a clinch. Um, but um, but that's kind of what I want to come into contact first with somebody is like their forehead, you know. So um, it's you know, if somebody shoots a double leg on you from the outside and they shoot it too far away, you just got to touch their forehead and misdirect that momentum a little bit, and they're not going to complete that. But there's kind of a threshold where it's going to be too late if you don't deal with that immediately, right? So I guess a little bit of Aikido and wrestling, right? So
Yeah, it's on brand. One thing I wanted to get your opinion on
street
was
thieves. I've seen this before. There's an old guy that fights in this. What is his name? His name is I'm blanking on his name. He's like this old guy. He's like 60 years old, and he's like, yeah, I've trained in martial arts, um, and this is now I've never used it anyway. Like I've never been in a fight before, and I'm getting old, and I gotta use it. I gotta test it out. I'm here to test it out.
oh
And he
god,
like tuned up a few guys.
really?
Yeah, but he got knocked out. Yeah, eventually. But he was it was actually like pretty cool to see this old guy. But he had some kind of funny name. These things are crazy. Like
I watched a few of them. Yeah, they.
the guys that they get to do them is so nuts. Like some guys obviously have some training, and then some guys are just like nothing. They have no training at all.
There's a couple dudes in here. I'm like, man, that guy got brain damage for real. Like,
Yeah.
it's not like funny brain damage. I'm
Right.
like, that guy
Yeah,
should probably see somebody.
Yeah.
Like he shouldn't be out there doing that.
yeah.
Yeah, it's Krav Maga. That's what I wanted to get your opinion
Oh
on.
yeah, like I don't have. I know so little about Krav Maga. So it's Israeli. Is it?
Israeli. They say it's Israeli military.
Yeah,
The Israeli military martial art.
yeah. I think doesn't it have a kind of a basis in like knife fighting, or like is it?
It's like, so I like years ago there was a guy training it here, and in his garage. So,
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So I show up to this guy's garage. And
No way.
Yeah.
Like at his home?
At his house. We go to
That's
his garage.
awesome, dude. I love that.
And there's a couple of other guys there. And he's got like, the Bob dummies
Yeah.
that fit over the... Anyway.
Right.
So yeah. And basically it all starts with like you palm strike someone in the forehead to stun
Okay.
them,
Right.
and then from there it's like eye gouges, kick to the balls,
Right.
and like there was something else. Like basically all the dirty moves. It's
Right.
like fucking jam your thumbs in their eyes,
Yeah.
kicks to the balls, a couple punches to the balls.
Yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of nut work. But I can't remember the other techniques. But like, if there was a fucking boom in Krav Maga,
Yeah.
and I remember like this thing showed up on my feed one time. It was like Krav Maga training by Krav Maga master, blah blah blah. And
Yeah.
I went on his thing, and it was all, it's like if you're basically tough enough to train with me,
Yeah.
I'll teach you how to fucking win any street fight.
Yeah, but so like the problem I have with that is like any kind of martial arts where you cannot practice what you're being taught, and you can't train it to like a high level. Like so, obviously you can't train, in real time, eye gouges.
No,
You know what I mean?
no,
So that's why like jujitsu is so effective because you can really train at a very high intensity without hurting each other. But you can't train Krav Maga, from, in my mind, at a high intensity because
no. You're not sparring with people and
yeah,
blasting their
like, right.
balls.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Let's spar. And, if I lose a nut in this sparring, that's the
that's
price
right.
I got to pay. Like nobody's doing that. Right. So,
No,
so how good really can you get at Krav Maga? Unless you're like a wartime fighter and you're in hand-to-hand combat. But if you've found yourself in hand-to-hand combat in war, then that's a shit
yeah.
situation. That's not, you don't want to be in that situation.
Then you're like training on the homeless. You're just going downtown and
Yeah,
finding
yeah,
people.
yeah. So, but the most effective stuff is what happens in MMA. I mean, that's been ironed out over the years, right? So we've seen that. I mean, but then I guess Krav Maga guys would be like, well, if Krav Maga is too dangerous to do in MMA, but you'd have to let somebody palm strike you in the bridge of your nose,
Yeah.
So that's like I mean, it's a great place to hit somebody right off the hop if you're if like a fight is about to go down and you're like, well, I'm going to get off first if this is going to happen anyways, if the threat's already there and you can articulate that. But you like blast them right in the nose. So
It really seems to work on the element of being first.
yeah,
Like you're like, okay, this guy's gonna fight me, and then fucking blast him in the
right,
balls or something.
yeah. But
But
it's not easy to land a kick to somebody's balls if you're in a fight.
yeah,
Like so
they're gonna turn sideways at some
right.
point.
Yeah, yeah. So but yeah, I mean, so I don't know. I know very little about Krav Maga. It's interesting, and the Israelis don't really do bullshit either.
No,
All their
no, they're
training is very high level. Um, everything from like their firearms manufacturing is very high end as well. So
it might have been bastardized too. Like it may have started as something, hand to hand combat, and then someone's like, I could sell this thing, and then they started to fuck with it.
yeah, yeah.
But like, it seems like a fad at this point. Like I haven't heard that in a while.
Right. So like, yeah, I mean, uh, it would be a nice supplement to somebody that is, I think, training for some kind of wartime experience. So if the worst case scenario happens and you're in a fight where you got to fight for your life, I guess the first time you try to eye gouge somebody shouldn't be when they're on top of you, like strangling you. So like having some training in Krav Maga, I think is good for being prepared for the absolute worst moment. But the practicality of it is beyond that is pretty tough.
Yeah. When I finished,
And also like if you snatch somebody's eye out of their socket in a street fight, like you're going to jail. Like so
that's true
because you can have mutual combat in a street fight if you have a consensual fight with another person. There's a level of injury which can maintain that or can leave that to a consensual fight. But if you maim or disfigure somebody or you break somebody's bone, then that elevates the scale of what. So I mean, if you just have a fight with somebody and you knock them down, whatever, then you're all good, right? It's a consensual fight. But if you break somebody's arm, or if there's evidence that can show that you've caused bodily harm to somebody, then you can get charged for that. So it's so even in street fighting, you have to have some composure. You have to match. You can't raise it to a crazy level that your opponent didn't consent to. So that leaves you open to for criminal prosecution. So
that makes sense. Yeah.
So yeah,
Never thought about that.
Yeah, I mean, incidental stuff like if you knock somebody out in a street fight when it's a consensual thing, okay, well that can happen, you know. So, but if you knock somebody out, they hit their head off the pavement and then they die. Okay, well that's manslaughter. So I mean, street fights are always like there's no winners ever in street fights. I mean, it's crazy, crazy thing to do. I mean, it's something you want to avoid. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And like I think like even a guy like Jocko Willink will say like, you know, if the best move in a street fight is just run the other direction. So if a guy who's been a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt since like 1990 something and
has probably killed countless people,
you know, was in like the worst part of that global war on terror, you know, in Ramadi, wasn't he? Like so he's in urban combat and he has all these skills. I mean, like the last thing that guy wants to do is to deal with some kind of a court case where he's fucked up some jabroni for disrespecting him on the street.
That's right.
You know.
Plus, like when it comes to like a street fight, you mentioned this before, but like if you're fighting somebody and then their buddy hits you over the head with a fucking stool and you can't see anymore, like
right.
it's not worth the risk. It's a young man's game, but even then, like
yeah, and some stuff like you can't control. I mean, I was way back in the day in Alberta. I was out at a country bar with my buddies, and I was talking to these two girls. And next thing I know, I'm on my back and I'm looking up, and I'm like, "Holy fuck, am I that drunk? I just fell on my ass." And I go to sit up, and I get hit right on top of the head. So a guy saw me talking to these girls, and there's a bunch of these guys. They were all wearing like cut off shirts. I think they might have been there for a stag or something, but they're all dressed the same, and they were causing fights in the bar all night. And but the bouncers were like too afraid to kick them out. So I think like the bouncers will wait till guys scrap and then they're tired and then kick them out. So so I got hit on top of my head as I went to sit up, and a big old gash, and the blood was running down my face, and I cover up. I'm like, oh my God, I'm in a fight. And I got flash KO'd from that spot. He punched me, like swung like on me, hit me right behind the ear.
Jesus.
And that's where like if you get hit there, that's like your equilibrium. And I cover up, and he's hitting me, and I'm like, I'm gonna fucking kill this guy. You know, like I was like wrapping my head around like, is this a dream or what the hell's going on? And somebody like briefly was like, get off of him, and they grabbed his arm, and I like sprung up like a cat. You know, or at least in my mind I did. I don't know.
Yeah.
And I took him down, and then and immediately took his back and had him in a rear naked choke. And he starts tapping in the rear naked choke, and I'm like, nope. And I put him out, and as I put him out, the bouncer's saying like, AGLC's here, AGLC's here, Alberta Gaming and Liquor. And I'm like, okay, man, like do your fucking job. Like these guys are like absolutely fucking nuts. They're all coked up probably and on roids and like just trying to fight people in the bar. And so I let go, let go of the guy. The guy's out cold on the floor, and there's a big crowd of people around me, and I got like blood all over my face, and I'm like, all right, I gotta go. So I'm like, where are my buddies? My buddies like Riley, they're on the dance floor. They're just like, you know, they're like hitting these crazy dances. I'm like, boys, time to go. And they're like, holy shit. You know? And then we go to get in the cab, and the cab driver was pissed then. I was full of blood. But I mean, that's like, I mean, there was no way to avoid that at all. That physical confrontation. Like you get punched in the back of the head when you're having a chat with somebody in a bar, and you don't even understand what's happening until you get hit again.
That's crazy, man. Sucker punch, knocked out. You're fucking coming to when he's still wailing on you.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah. So I was happy with how quick I recovered, and I was able to wrap
a lot of people would go right to the hospital because they'd probably get knocked out a couple times.
Yeah, like so. I was able to like quickly understand like the situation I was in, but it was very confusing at first. Like I thought I was dreaming, then I thought I was really drunk, and but the second punch like woke me up, you know. So, um, and then I was a big strong guy then too, and knew how to fight a little bit, and so uh, generally guys that pick fights and go out seeking fights don't really know how to fight.
No.
I mean, all the guys that I know who are really good fighters, I mean, it's the last thing they're doing is fighting on the streets.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a certain type of person. And they're usually cowards.
Yeah.
They get fucking really drunk or really high and then they're out.
So if you're training like multiple times a week, like a lot of these guys are looking for something to prove or somebody to impress. I mean, you got nothing to prove when you get all that out of your system in a training room or whatever. You know what your limitations are, and then you know how dangerous some people can be. You know, like Danny. I mean, he's 140 pounds, and if I let Danny like if I'm not watching everything I'm doing, like rolling with that guy, he's going to tap me in a second.
Yeah.
Right. He snatches stuff up quick. So so I know that 140 pound man is capable of killing me, because that's what we're doing. We're simulating kind of killing each other in jiu-jitsu. I'm not, I feel like I'm capable, but you never fucking know just how capable anybody is. No. Right. And then add the unknowns of weaponry on top of that. If they have concealed weapons, I mean, it's just a recipe for disaster. So it's just a very foolish thing to be at. And so it's always like, it's always shocking even when you watch a street fight on YouTube, when you see somebody in a street fight that has some training.
Yeah.
Because it's pretty rare that you see guys throwing down on a YouTube street fight and you see that they actually are using technique in the street fight, because, you know, martial artists are just not street fighting. Boxers are just not getting in fights on the street. So like you think you would see it more on YouTube, but it's pretty rare.
Usually I find too, when like some asshole is starting a fight with them, they're like, hey man, I don't want any, you know. And then like the person presses it and then they get knocked out. But it's it says a lot when, like you said, when somebody's picking a fucking fight. It says a lot about who they are. You know, it's the Krav Maga thing. I remember going to that guy's garage, and you know,
I love that, man. How long ago was that?
I was like I must have been 25.
But that's crazy on your part. Just like, oh man, I'm gonna try that out. Where is it? In the garage? Oh, okay.
Oh, dude, I tried everything. Like, I left Taekwondo when I was in university. I tried Kendo, which is like you put on these suits and you use the bamboo swords. You beat each other up.
That's got to be fun.
That was a blast. Yeah. I tried fucking Krav Maga. I tried, what's the other one? I think I may have done a judo class. But anyway, I was just like, whatever it was. And back then it was like Newfoundland classifieds.
Right.
So I'd be like, there'd be like a little thing there for a class.
Yeah.
Like, fuck it, I'll come.
Yeah.
Check it out. Yeah. It was.
I wonder how that guy's doing now, the instructor.
He's probably not doing that anymore. He was there in a fucking tank top. You know, it's like.
Just the Napoleon Dynamite red gi or whatever, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
American bandana. But no, it was fun just seeing that. Then I got into Muay Thai for a bit, and that was more serious, obviously.
Right.
But after Taekwondo, I really became adverse to getting punched and kicked in the head.
Yeah.
Not a lot of punches in Taekwondo, obviously, but when I did kickboxing and I was getting popped in the mouth a lot, and just hitting the head, I was like, I see the stir as a punch.
That's the thing about jiu-jitsu and wrestling and judo is like you can train these things full blast and not worry about head trauma, you know, but so like even boxing, you know, how good can somebody really get at boxing without sparring or never having any kind of head trauma? It's pretty much impossible, right?
Yeah,
Like,
unless you're Floyd Mayweather and your
yeah,
defense is crazy.
yeah, yeah,
No, it like jiu-jitsu, you can get your goblins out and fucking train
yeah,
forever.
yeah,
There's people in their like 60s still training.
yeah. And you can spar with a black belt that's an absolute killer, and you can be smashed in a roll but still learn a little bit from it, right? But if you get in there with some badass boxer that just pieces you up, I mean, what are you really learning there? You know, you're just getting your head there, your little brain scrambled, you know. So so that's one of the things about jiu-jitsu that people are able to advance and get good at it so quick, I think. Because, I mean, how many guys that show up to jiu-jitsu and they're a white belt and they're fucking terrible? They don't even, it's awkward for them even just to lock up with another person. And then within a year, like they're a handful and they're getting good, and they're able to handle themselves. So, but I don't think people scale and get better at other martial arts as quick as they do at jiu-jitsu for that reason, because of how efficiently you're able to spar.
Yeah, you're totally right. Well, Rodney was on the show, and he was like, he basically got into the gym and got into jiu-jitsu at the same time.
Right.
So he had like no athletic background.
Yeah.
But he's like a super smart guy.
Right.
And now he's like he's very technical.
Yeah.
Like he can pull things out. You know, he understands the physics of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, watching him go from not physical to where he is now.
Yeah.
You don't see that in like boxing.
Yeah.
You know?
And Rodney doesn't put sauce on anything, eh?
No.
Like, you know, so it's very
super calm.
Yeah.
And he doesn't. Well, he never taps, but he's fucking. You got to kill Rodney.
I've squeezed Rodney sometimes, and I've let it go and looked at him, and he's there like, you know. Or if I do get him with a good choke and he taps, he sits up and he's like, yeah, that was good. You know, it's like he's like he gets a kick out of it, you know. But I don't know how. Like, if the same thing applies to when you get knocked out and your brain getting shut off, I don't know if that applies to jiu-jitsu either. Like, if you get choked out once and you get put unconscious, how easy it is then to get put unconscious again next time you're choked?
Like the glass chin people get.
Yeah, like is that a thing? Because that could be a thing, right? But because I believe it's your brain recognizes it's a defense mechanism where your brain's like, okay, I've been in this situation before. This is not good for me being like having this much punishment. What worked last time is just doing a little quick reset, Control Alt Delete, and reboot. Right.
That's a good point, man.
And
I never thought about that before.
Yeah, yeah. So I think that's what it is. It's like an autonomic response by your body's brain to preserve itself by just switching off as quick as possible. You know, instead of sustaining damage over a long period of time and big shots. So
I always thought it was like you get hit in the usually the chin or and then like the structure becomes weaker. But like I guess Wolfslaw, like the structure should grow back stronger. So yeah, you're probably right.
And you think about like Chuck Liddell. I mean, when Chuck Liddell was at his peak, I mean, it seemed like that guy could get hit in the head with a shovel.
Yeah.
And nothing would slow him down. But who KO'd him first? Was it Rashad Evans that KO'd him? Or like Rashad Evans hit him with a fucking like hellacious like fastball.
Let's pull that up.
I mean, I cringe when I look at it, you know. So it's one of the hardest shots I think I've seen somebody take. It was like perfect placement, and he's so powerful, that guy. And it didn't take much for Chuck to get KO'd after that, right? Like he lost it so quick.
Well, that basically ended his career because, like, yeah, he get lights out by anybody,
right? But imagine like you're watching The Ultimate Fighter, and Rashad Evans is on The Ultimate Fighter, and I think one of his coaches was his coach. His coach was like Randy, I think, and Chuck was on the other team. Like you'd never think that Rashad Evans could take Chuck Liddell. So he's setting it up. He's thrown that a couple of times.
It's definitely an old fight because the quality is fucking terrible.
Yeah. Yeah, he's throwing that overhand right a lot. So eventually it lands.
Liddell has a confidence there of someone who's never been knocked out.
Yeah, and he's eating a lot of shots too. Like he ate a stiff shot, there, right? Another shot there he ate.
Oh man!
But see, like the way, like he instantly got shut off, and his head like bounces off the canvas there.
Yeah, fuck man.
Oh
Man, what a fucking shot!
Like right on the chin, man, and you see his neck and everything just, and he just turned into a rag doll. But I mean, he could never take a punch the same.
No, that was it.
Yeah,
that was his career.
And Rich Franklin KO'd him bad after that too. And the shot that Rich Franklin caught him with was kind of an odd shot that, it wouldn't have. I don't think it would KO Chuck before that. So
no, he got knocked out too.
Tito Ortiz like knocked Chuck out or stopped him.
Yeah.
Like a couple of years ago, they had like in some weird promotion or whatever. And it was so sad to see, man. It was so sad.
Tito Ortiz seems like he has a lot of brain damage where he's just not a smart guy.
He's a silly guy.
Yeah. He says like...
He has a lot of problems speaking. He gets so jumbled up in his head. And he says, and he twists. Like there's like so many compilations out there of him like mixing his words up and saying crazy stuff. Yeah. There's one thing about his kids. He was saying like he actually said like I want to live a long time. I want to live longer than my kids. He's like I want to outlive my kids or something like that. And like I don't know if he meant to say that, no, but he said it, and you're like, what?
Man, he'd be like, what was it? Fuck, I can't even remember. Something like that, but even more retarded. I've seen it recently. I can't remember.
But I mean, Tito, I don't think Tito's ever been knocked out. I mean, Chuck put him down, but Tito could take big shots. So I mean, so he's definitely taken a lot of punishment over the years for sure, right? So no doubt he's got some kind of brain damage.
He was part of like the original big lineup when the UFC really took off.
Yeah.
It wasn't like renting tapes from the video store anymore. It was like Chuck Liddell. I think like a young GSP was around then too.
Yeah. GSP was like just coming onto the scene when Chuck and Tito were big, and but like some of their entrances, like, and they had that dynamic where Tito had like the fire shorts and Chuck had like the ice stuff. That's one thing I really miss about the UFC is the fighters' ability to have their own unique style.
Yeah.
And when they went to that Reebok shit, like that was, and that stuff looks so lame.
Oh man, it's all uniform now.
Yeah, it's so cool, like seeing like Rampage Jackson coming out in his shorts, or like I mean Melvin Manhoof. He's never fought in the UFC, but he would fight with these kind of gladiator kind of shorts.
Oh, I see those with the flaps. Yeah, those are cool.
And that guy was a nightmare, right? I mean, he even knocked out Mark Hunt. He's like a middleweight and knocked Mark Hunt clean out. KO'd him bad. And but But it was just like nice to have see fighters with their own kind of unique touches on stuff. But
Yeah, it's
um,
cool when you can see just by looking at them what martial art they're representing.
it's true. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
like I Pride was my favorite. I used
yeah,
to love Pride,
yeah.
and they had this guy who's called like the Flying Gentleman. Do you remember him?
The Flying Gentleman,
He was Remy.
Remy Bull Jackson.
Yes,
Yeah,
he was my favorite
yeah,
fighter. Like
yeah.
watching him and like,
He fought in K1 though, I think,
was it K1? Okay,
because
yeah,
he
you
was
might be
he
right.
was a kickboxer.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
I thought he fought Coleman, that huge dude, in Pride, but I might be misremembering. It's been a minute since I seen him fight, but I remember watching him do those flying knees,
Yeah,
and it was like
yeah,
something from like an action movie.
yeah. He has some crazy
Man,
finishes.
he could like leap across the fucking full ring and
Yeah,
like smack somebody,
yeah,
and his kicks were phenomenal.
nuts.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
guy was awesome. And the Swedish, he didn't fight in Pride, but the Swedish chainsaw.
Swedish Chainsaw.
That's what it,
Fuck,
man,
who's
who was
that?
that dude? Fuck. I gotta find him.
But the Pride had so many good characters, man. Igor von Chenchin. Uh, he was this. I think he was Polish, maybe, or maybe he's Russian. I don't know. But in his hometown, they used to, when Igor used to get drunk, they used to ring a bell. Like there was a bell that had to be rung when Igor was drunk. And then all the townsfolk would like go back to their houses and like because Igor was drunk in the streets, you know.
Jesus.
And like that guy
Panic button.
yeah, that guy was sick, man. And but Crow Cop was my favorite fighter in Pride.
Crow Cop was awesome.
Yeah,
Was it
Crow
like
Cop head kicked Igor and like almost killed Igor with that like full blast like left high kick.
it was like left foot
Cemetery, right foot hospital,
hospital, yeah,
yeah.
left foot cemetery,
Yeah.
yeah.
Like Crow Cop was a big like inspiration for me to like in like getting into policing and whatnot, and you know,
Oh
'cause
yeah,
he was
he's a
such
Croatian cop.
yeah,
Yeah.
and like a special forces commander as well, you know. So he's doing all that while like fighting in Pride.
This is him here, Ramon Deckers.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah. So you've seen
Yeah.
this guy before.
Yeah, for sure,
Yeah.
legend.
He
So smooth with it, man.
oh man, smooth and just like
Makes everything effortless.
he'd get smashed and he'd just keep going. Like
Yeah.
It might not be the Swedish chain, some sort of chainsaw.
Yeah, because he's Dutch.
Yeah, maybe it's the Dutch chainsaw.
Mm.
But he was another one when I was in Taekwondo, there was no punching; it was just kicking. And then I started watching UFC, and I was like, "Holy shit!" Like, there's a whole world out there.
Yeah,
you know, it was
yeah.
So I was watching him and Remy, and I always like flying, like high kicks, and
Yeah.
you know, being able to do that. And I still kick now, but yeah, man, I find now it's like they're almost too technical. Like watching the UFC,
Yeah.
where it's like,
Yeah.
you know,
My favorite thing was like the style matchups. Like, you know, was the striker versus grappler like matchups, you know. I love that dynamic where like if this guy keeps it on the feet, this guy's in big trouble. But if this guy gets it on the ground, he's in big trouble. But now like you guys are so well rounded that there's not a lot of those matchups anymore.
Yeah.
But I love those style of matchups, you know, and Crow Cop was in so many of those. But then he developed amazing takedown defense.
Yeah.
But when he first started, like, I mean, he fought Vanderlei Silva in like a mixed rules bout where Crow Cop was coming from K1. And if Vanderlei got him on the ground, I think there was like a time limit or something Vanderlei could work. But for the most part, it was a stand-up because, I mean, Vanderlei Silva fucking swings. And that's my favorite stare down of all time is Vanderlei Silva versus Crow Cop #1. And like Vanderlei Silva would never lose a stare down. He was the intimidating guy, right? The way he'd like look at guys and then he's doing his like he's warming up his wrists and his hands with the Curitiba kind of thing. And that all the guys from that shoot box gym used to do. But Crow Cop stares him down and just you're like, that guy's a fucking killer.
Yeah.
It was like bone chilling kind of stare down. And but in their second match, like Crow Cop knocked him clean out. It was crazy. I remember watching that one live. That was their heavyweight Grand Prix, and man, I was at my buddy's house, and it's like 4 a.m. here. When that was on,
That's cool.
and I was like, I like yelled. I was like, oh my god, when he knocked out like Vanderlei Silva. And he's like, Pete, shut up. He's like, my mom's asleep. And they were like, we're like 15 or 16 at the time, like those Pride days were like so much fun, man. Actually having like good competition for the UFC, and they had to, like, every card was like had to try to one up each other. Like there was never like the UFC lost so much of that where that individuality with the fighters.
I agree. Yeah.
So like back then, I like when we first started watching it, like there was it seemed like they had more like stars, you know what I mean? But now the UFC is the star of the show. Like when you'd see like, there'd be a card, you'd have like, Matt Hughes, GSP, and everybody on the main card, you would kind of know who they are, know their background and what they're going to bring to the table. I don't know who the majority of fighters are in the UFC that are fighting on like main cards.
It's all personality now. I find that kind of hooks you in, or if they're like a really big jack dude, it's like, okay, that's interesting. But I feel like GSP really turned it, because like GSP came in and he just got more and more well-rounded whenever you lost. He'd lose a match, he'd fight him again, he'd win, because he'd like get better at what he sucked at.
Yeah.
And then like he became so well-rounded, you had to be like that to compete, and he was a superstar.
Yeah.
For so long.
Yeah, he had no wrestling background and became like the best mixed martial arts wrestler. Like for mixed martial arts, it's like a power doubles. You could shoot those from like 10 feet away and keep driving through and like take down a guy like I think he fought Josh Koscheck, who was a high level like Division I wrestler, and out wrestled Josh Koscheck.
It's crazy.
So
like so athletic. And, like his build, it was like he kind of looked like a bodybuilder by the end of it. Like his legs were fucking jacked.
Yeah.
They were like huge quads.
Yeah.
And it's just, he soaked stuff up. But I know what you mean. Like, they're like, it's a judo guy, and they'd be dressed. Some of them like have a gi on.
Loved it. Yeah.
And it's like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
I wonder how they'll do against, a boxer.
And why not? Why not have that? Like, why, if a guy wants to wear a gi in a UFC fight, let him wear a gi.
Yeah.
And or if they want to wear or like another cool fighter in Pride was Shinya Aoki, and he did a lot of Eddie Bravo's like rubber guard stuff. So he used to wear the full spats, like, and he'd wear like rainbow color spats.
Okay.
But I mean, he loved doing that rubber guard and having like the extra grip with the spats to have control over guys, and you just knew like that was him, and he was like this unique, crazy character that there's you know what he's going to do in the fight, but can you stop him? Can you implement your fighting style to beat him? But yeah, pretty rare that kind of stuff happens now.
It melted away that kung fu people are magic kind of thing during that time.
Yeah,
because you could be like, here's a kung fu guy versus a street fighter.
But if you look at like the best guys, it still seems like the specialists, the guys that are really high level in one thing, and then like supplement their other holes just to be competent enough to be defensive, and then like Alex Pereira or Israel Adesanya or these guys, high level kickboxers that can implement their game.
Yeah.
And then they became really difficult to take down, or when you do take them down, they got just enough jiu-jitsu to get back on their feet. Like that seems like guys that would be have defined the most success, but
like a specialist.
Yeah. Because it's so hard to be the best at every single aspect. I mean, Demetrius Johnson was probably known as like the best well-rounded martial artist, like phenomenal at everything. But at the same time, I mean, he just got his black belt recently in jiu-jitsu, and he just lost like his first black belt level grappling match in Masters division. But he was going against a guy that was like a 20 you're a black belt or something like that.
Okay.
But so here, that's a guy that's like really well rounded for martial arts or for MMA, but cannot compete at the highest level of jiu-jitsu. No way, So and the same goes for like strikers in mixed martial arts too.
Oh, absolutely. Did you ever watch the 5-on-5 where it had high level ADCC guys versus UFC fighters?
In like a quintet?
Yeah.
Man, I don't think I've seen that one. Which UFC fighters were there?
I feel like it was like Bo Jackson. Is it Bo Jackson? No, not Bo Jackson. Who's that really good wrestler? Bo
Nickel?
Bo Nickel. Bo Nickel fought. I might be putting two different things together, but Bo Nickel fought Gordon Ryan.
Okay, yeah, I've seen that match. That was cool to see.
But I think it was like,
I think that was like a showcase match, because there was rules on Gordon Ryan that he couldn't pull guard, and he could only go to the ground if it was initiated. Like he just couldn't like dive in and grab a leg lock or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
that makes sense.
But I mean, Bo Nickel gave him a good match.
It was fun to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it might have been some B team guys and some 10th Planet guys.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love those quintet style matchups.
They're cool.
Because you get to see like heavyweights versus like lighter guys too, and see like what the lighter guy can do in that context. Like I love seeing those mismatches, and then you really see like technique shine versus like power or whatever.
Yeah.
That's why I'm looking forward to Craig Jones's Invitational, the second one. It's all quintet.
Oh man, I love that tournament.
When is that? Is it in August?
I can't remember when it was.
His last one was great.
It was fantastic.
It was better than the UFC. I'm like biased being like jiu-jitsu guys, but it was so entertaining, man.
Before I watched that, I watched a couple of ADCs matches that went on for like fucking 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And like a guy's, I think it was Gordon Ryan versus, I can't remember who it was, but basically he just let on his face for like 30 minutes. And I'm like fast forwarding through for them to like stand up or do something.
Yeah.
But they really like push it, and like to see fast paced jujitsu is like.
Yeah. And once they're in that alley that they call it, or, that pit, going back to seeing those normal matches where it's just, they're always getting restarted from like going out of bounds. It doesn't matter. It seems how big the mat space is. They'll find a way to go out of bounds.
Yeah.
And, but just to have that continuous action in the pit, that's so good. Yeah, I hate restarts. Hate it.
Oh man, it's boring. It's boring.
So it's so hard to wrestle too in a match space like that, where you have a guy that is not wrestling and then and just wants to pull guard or whatever, but not be taken down where they're going to be at a disadvantage. So when that wrestler is initiating the takedown, they backpedal right out of bounds. Like I'd like to see points taken away, or if you're stalling in that way where you're backpedaling out of bounds. There's some stuff that's unavoidable, but the pit and that CGI stuff, it just eliminates all that. So
well, like the product is, these guys get paid a bunch of money for their specialty, which they should.
Yeah.
And it's entertaining to watch, which brings the money.
Yeah.
And with the ADCC stuff, it's like, I love jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
This is fucking boring.
Yeah.
I don't want to watch you slop around and, get out of bounds and fucking reset for 30 minutes, an hour.
It's so confusing to people that aren't, that don't do jiu-jitsu, or like, it's so gatekeeping in a way, because one of the other confusing things is like they have multiple matches going on at the same time.
Yeah.
So for somebody that doesn't understand that, or they're watching it and they hear the crowd cheering, or like the crowd is excited, but it's because another match is going on that you can't even watch. I want to see what's going on in that match. Like, what the hell just happened? Like, it's like you feel like you're missing out on something in too.
I know what you mean. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. So, but they seem like they're pretty stuck in their ways, the ADCC.
Yeah.
So,
and they got Gordon Ryan's club or camp.
New Wave.
Is it New Wave?
Yeah, with John Danaher.
Yeah, yeah. Like they're not like I think they're only going to be in ADCC.
Well,
So
they just announced that they'll be in CJI. They're gonna have a New Wave team.
Wow,
but
that's cool.
But Gordon Ryan's not doing it.
Oh, that's too bad.
Yeah, they hate each other and they talk so much shit. So, and Gordon Ryan obviously doesn't need the money, you know.
Yeah.
But,
all right, man. I'm going to piss my pants. This is
me too.
another banger.